Okay, students, today we are going to look at Excel and how to create a pivot table. This is a large data set. If I go to the bottom, you'll see I've got 6,795 records. Well, 6,974 records because I've got the title in the top. Okay, so if I am somewhere in the body of my data, so I can't be out here in one of the columns that doesn't have any data, but if I'm somewhere in the body of the data, I can click Insert Pivot Table. And then notice that the table range is automatically filled in for me because I was already in the data when I inserted the table. By default, I'm going to let it go to New Worksheet. I'm just going to say OK. And it gives us this little frame over here that shows us that's where we're going to build our pivot table. And over on the right hand side, it shows you your pivot table fields. These are the column names of the data back on the original sheet. Okay, so these are all the higher ed institutions in the United States, and so I want to create a frequency distribution of these that will show me how many higher ed institutions there are by state. So I just take the state abbreviation and I pull it down here for the rows, and you see it lists all my states. And then for our values, I'm going to take institution name, and by default mine is doing the count, which is what I would want to do. The frequency is the count of the number of institutions by state. And so you notice that now I have a count of institution names for all of my states. And I'm going to change the name there to frequency. And then I'm going to, because I want to see my relative frequency, I'm going to pull that down into values again. And yes, it does the same thing. It puts my count. If by some chance yours would say sum instead of count, then you can click on it, go to value field settings, and make sure it's on count. And I can also change the name here, so I'm going to make it relative frequency. And then I'm going to go back to my value field settings, and it says show values by, and I want a % of grand total. Now, the way we've been doing frequency distributions, we've not been showing these as percentages, but we're showing them in decimal format. So I can choose that whole column. I can change it to a comma, and then I probably want more than one decimal place, or more than 2 decimal places. And now that gives me my frequency distribution. So I can type state here. Okay, that's it.